Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Tuesday, April the 19th. And today we're going to talk about the war in Ukraine, but we're going to put a different angle on it. We're not going to talk about the military operations or geopolitical factors or the kind of stuff that we talked about more generally. Today we're going to talk about children and the impact that the war in Ukraine is having on children. Obviously, anytime you have a war, there are consequences on families and children. And this one in particular, perhaps more than some of the others, because of the way the Russians are fighting this war. They're not being very indiscriminate, if I could put it that way, in how they're killing people. They are literally killing civilians. And this is, of course, having problems that are too difficult to mention. So you may remember that a few weeks ago, we had a conversation with our friend in Portugal, João Chaqueta, and he introduced me to the lady who we're going to talk to right now. Her name is Sonia Rodrigues, and she is in Portugal. So, Sonia, thank you for joining us. It's a great honor to have you.
Thank you to invite me.
All right. All right. Very good. Now, you are in the western part of Portugal, right? How close are you to Spain?
Nearby. I'm only 17 kilometers away from Spain.
So like
Very
about
near.
1 hour away,
Yeah.
maybe
Yes.
by
Yes.
highway.
By
Okay.
far. Yeah.
And what part of Spain? Galicia, right?
Galicia. Yes.
Galicia. Okay. And those of you who like to practice your Spanish, you may notice that Sonia spells her name Rodriguez with an S. And that's because people in Portugal, that's how they spell it, with an S. And then people like us who speak Spanish, we spell it with a Z. So it's an interesting detail, particularly if you go to Brazil. When you go to Brazil, you see people who spell their name that way, of course, because of their Portuguese heritage. Well, what impressed me about your work, Sonia, is that you work with children. So please tell us about yourself and the organization that you have founded. Please tell us about yourself.
Okay, I'm a psychologist. My PhD was about the quality of a residential care system in Portugal. I did the first study about the quality of residential care in Portugal. We have most of our children that are in care in residential care, and we are trying now to change that. But we are also worried about the quality of these institutions where the children are living. And with the pandemics, we were very aware that of the danger of domestic violence, also against children. When everyone is confined, we knew about the studies in China that the domestic violence was improving during the confinement, and for that we were very worried about that, but we understood that in Portugal the official instances were not doing anything to prevent that, and because of that some people that were working in the system of care in child protection, and that were worried about child's rights, we decided all that by Zoom and WhatsApp to work together to start to advise people about what to do to prevent this violence against children during the confinement of COVID-19. And after that, we thought that maybe it was interesting to continue our job doing advocacy of children's rights with the Portuguese government. And is that what we do now? Our ONG is AjudAjudar, is ONG to promote and protect the children's rights in Portugal.
Yeah. So the name of the organization is AjudAjudar, right? Which is would
AjudAjudar.
translate to help, right?
Yes,
Kind of
help to
help, yeah, help, yeah. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that the war in Ukraine is having a terrible impact on families, and war is always terrible on people, innocent people. But in the case of Ukraine, because of the way the Russians are fighting the war, they don't seem to care who they kill. I mean, the other day they committed some terrible atrocities. And this is, of course, impacting children. And I understand from our previous conversation that thousands of children are without parents or without homes. What can you tell us about that and where those children may be traveling to in Europe right now?
um, all that you said is true, and the proof of that is that now we know that 250 children are now dead in the Ukraine war. And we know also that half of the children in Ukraine are now far from their home.
Right. They're far from their home. You say they're away
Yes,
from their homes. Yeah.
away from their home. Okay, they are far from the zones where the war is more intense, or they are out of the country. We know that 2 billion and a half are out of Ukraine now.
You mean
But most of
you meant 2 million. 2 million,
two,
right?
two,
2 million.
2 billion, 2
Not
billion,
not 2 billion. Two like 1,000 million, you mean?
1,000 million. Yeah,
Wow.
yes, because they are. Uh, uh, we are speaking about a quarter of the children that are living in
Right.
Ukraine now,
Okay.
of
No,
Ukrainian
but I
children.
think forgive me for interrupting you, but
Yes.
I think you meant millions, not because
Okay.
billions would be
We, we have
yeah,
that problem
yeah, it's
with
millions, but that's okay.
okay,
We
sorry.
no, we understand. We understand. But I think when you said
In
yeah,
Portugal, we say billions.
I know,
About
but I
that.
just wanted to
It's
make sure that
sorry,
the
I didn't
translation.
remember that it was different
No, no,
in
I
United
understand. And
States.
that's why,
Yeah,
forgive me for interrupting you. That's why I wanted to make
yes,
sure that the audience understood that we were talking about 2 and 6 zeros, not 2 and 9 zeros, which is,
yes, then six
but
zeros.
anyway,
Okay.
just wanted to, not to correct you, but just to make sure that the translation was
Yes,
correct. There's 2
two
million people.
millions and
Okay.
half. 2 millions and if, 500.
2 million, 2 million.
It's more than that, okay, but okay, but it's we know that most of those children are with their moms or with someone from the family, because the fathers have to be cannot go out of Ukraine because they must be soldiers in the war, and because of that, only normally it's only women can go out, and childs, okay, and or old people. Most
The
of those
fathers
children
are
are,
serving in the military, right? The
yes,
fathers are
yes.
serving in the military. Okay.
But the majority of them are, that are the children of they are getting out of Ukraine. They are with their families, only with their mother or with their grandmothers. But there are also children that are with no one, because some of those children were also in or residential care or foster care in Ukraine, and when they get out, those who were in foster care normally get out with their foster family. Okay, but children that were in residential care, and we know that 17,000 children, 17,000 children in Ukraine are in residential care, or were in residential care, and because of with the gradation of the situation, those, we don't know very well what is happening to most of those children. We know now that Eurochild says that there are now many children going out that are especially that the organizations who are worried about children's rights are much interested in a company, because they are alone, and
Right. Yeah, it's
and
terrible.
those children's we are trying that they when they are together, most of countries try that they still are in the same group which they lived before, but is very difficult to keep them together, and especially it's very difficult to keep tracking their movement around Europe.
Right,
And
right.
we know now that more than 1,000 disappeared.
Wow.
We know that they go out of Ukraine, but we don't know where they are in Europe. And the principal worry now of the negotiators that were working, and also of the states, the European states and the European Union, is to maintain a system that controls all that, to always know where a child is, especially those who are alone. Here in Portugal, when a child comes from Ukraine, and because I have to say why it's so easy to lose the track of these children is because when the war started, Europe established that a law that permit all Ukrainians, or all people that lives in Ukraine to come to Europe with even if they don't have documents with them, and because of that is if I say that I'm Ukrainian, they will give the authorization to live in Europe for 2 years at least, and without any. We don't have very bureaucracy about it, because we know that sometimes flying away from war, we don't have anything to prove who I am, where I lived before, and because of that, everything was very easy to, and but that is okay for the adults, but for the children we have to have more protection and control, and because of that we are trying to establish mechanisms of control. Normally a child cannot to get out of Ukraine without a communication, and it's because of that we saw sometimes many people in trying to get out, and that looks like that they are taking many time to control, but we have it's especially with children, we have to control when they are going out of Ukraine, and the European states that are around Ukraine, Poland, Moldavia, Romania, they are automatically controlling children that are going into their territory. And is that we don't know how sometimes they can't do that very efficiently, and especially because in the beginning this was not so organized. Now it is more established,
Right.
and we have also more people that are helping and that can speak Ukrainian and to give good informations and clear informations about what to do.
Right.
In the beginning, here in Portugal, everyone wanted to help, and some good intentional, with good intentions, some get in a bus and go there and take refugees to come to Portugal. Okay, but uh, Portuguese did that, and also Spanish, Italians, French, and around all Europe, many people start to come without not a good preparation and control. And we think that was in the beginning that those children disappear, because if we go there and say, okay, came, I will take you to our country. Okay, if we are good people and we have good intentions, but there are some people that always do bad things, even when everything is just so bad.
Right.
And okay,
Well, no, no, that's okay. It's a wonderful. It's a great story, but it's also a very sad story. I
yes,
know that, for example, here in the North Texas area, some families are arriving, but they are families arriving, children and parents. I think in some cases they are families who have connections to
yes,
North Texas because of other family. And I know that there are many organizations, for example, Catholic Charities is helping in Ukraine. I know that because our church collects money for that mission. And I also, there are other Protestant organizations that are also helping. But the question of children is always difficult to follow. And my concern with all these children, 2 million, that's a lot of children, is that they could fall in the hands of bad people
yes,
who could, the human trafficking
human
and
trafficking,
and
yeah.
all this, particularly young women, young women, 14, 15-year-old girls who could
Children's,
unfortunately
also
fall into
boys.
prostitution, at that age, which is a real problem. I mean, we see that problem in a different context, but we see that problem with the border with Mexico, where young women are often put into prostitution. So I'm sure it would be the same there. So what do you think is the solution? I mean, obviously the war has to end. I understand that, but that's out of our control. But as far as your organization or Portugal or other countries, uh, how do you see a happy ending to these children?
Um, Now what we are trying to do is organize our in the arriving, every children that arrives in Portugal must go personally to the foreign services that
So they can
that
see them,
will
so they can
be
see the children, and so they can see
yes,
them.
see,
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
they must be registered there, but in presence, not online, because all this was done only online. But now with children cannot be like that. They must go to the I don't know how to say it,
Well, it would be
it's the
some kind
entity
of it would
that
be some kind of a government office, right, where they would
yes,
identify
for
them.
foreigners,
Maybe
yes.
maybe the police, maybe
No,
uh,
it's not police.
immigration office, something
Yes,
like that.
yes, more the immigration office. Yes, but they have special people there only for this
For them,
in never part of Portugal. And they are trying to control that, and they are also working with Ukrainian communities that were here before to track that also. Okay,
right.
and now in Portugal we have only 9 children, not with no adult of all,
Hmm.
with no one with them. Most of children came with their mothers or a relative, or um, with someone that bring them, but here in Portugal some of their some family or some friend were here to take them. I don't know if I
Right.
was
No, no,
well.
I understand. You're saying that some have come and other, you're are you trying to put these children after they have been after the immigration or the public authorities have, you know, interrogated them or know who they are
Yeah,
they being put with families so that they can be with families?
no, most of them were with their families. Okay, and only 9
Okay.
were not, and
We're not
those were
okay.
put in foster families, but
In
only
foster
nine.
families.
Nine.
Yeah.
We have now uh, more. I think the last number in Portugal were 24,000 Ukrainians,
Hmm.
not children, but all half of that is children's.
Right. But I think that,
Mm,
the audience, my audience is very intelligent, I know. But I mean, just to refresh their memories, that if you look at the European map, Portugal is the country all the way at the other end.
yes,
So it's the longest trip to go
yes,
from let's say Poland or Romania all the way to Portugal. So there
and
are so many other countries in between
yes,
that
and they
not
don't they, Ukrainians don't want to go far away from their
right,
country, because they are also they are um, hoping that rapidly the war finish and they
right.
can go back
Yeah, they
to.
want to go back, which is a good
Yeah,
thing. I mean, if you think about it,
yeah.
that's a good
They
thing.
don't want to
But
be immigrated in other
yes,
countries. They want to
no,
go
that's
back.
right. But
Okay.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing that they want to go back. The problem is that we
Yeah,
don't know when they're going to go back, and we don't
that
know
is true.
how much more damage this war is going to do. Well, we're kind
And
of
that
running
is
out.
our worry when the Portuguese government took the decision that the non accompanied children will be with families, with the foster families, Portuguese foster families. We were worried because we don't know for how many time
Right,
they will be here, and the we have many families that want to receive those children, but they they do that because they see the images in the television about the war,
right.
and that is so bad that they want to do something, but
No, I
sometimes
know. And
is.
there are people, I mean, look, as I told you, in our church,
Yeah,
every Sunday we're doing a special collection
yes,
for Ukraine. Now we channel it through Catholic Charities,
okay,
which is an organization in Ukraine. But I think everybody wants to help. Now we're kind of running out of time, so we got a couple of minutes. But is there anything that we didn't cover? Any one more point that you want to make? We're kind of running out of time, but anything that we forgot to cover?
the only thing that and in Portugal we don't have this problem now is that is those children that are from living in that were living in Ukraine in institutions, and that they are many of they are 17,000, and we don't know where they are and what happened to most of them, um, because in that confusion of the war, they must have many of those organizations uh, are not working
Right,
very well, and
right.
uh, those who can go out, and they came as a group, and they stay as a group, and
Right.
they are trying to keep them as a group. But we need to keep tracking
Right.
these students, and they live so many bad things now, and they don't need more traumatic
I know.
experiences,
I know.
and these children need also that to be to be helped, their mental health needs also to be cared,
Right.
uh,
No,
not
it's
only.
a terrible situation because this is not, these children are going to carry this with them for a long time, and it's going to impact, how they grow up and their relationships with other people. It's very
Here
bad.
in Europe, we are also very worried about the other children, the Portuguese children, Spanish children, because they are seeing in the television all time the
Right.
war, and we see things that never in the past we have seen
Right.
in the television, because they showed corpse
Right.
in the streets,
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's like the good news about television is that you can see everything. The bad news is you can see everything. So it's
yes,
like,
yes.
so you can see bombs dropping and you can see
An,
buildings blowing
an,
up.
adult can understand
Right.
that um, is in Ukraine is very far away, but children cannot do that
Right.
rationalization, and they are very affected also for the
Right.
war. Not
Children cannot digest this
yes,
information the same way, and they could be traumatized. I agree with
yeah.
you. But I want to thank you very much for joining us. I hope we can do it again. And
I'm
for
sorry for my English is not
no, no,
so good.
your English is actually very good. I think a lot of people are saying, gosh, I wish I could speak Portuguese as well as she speaks English. So I think you did a wonderful job. But I want to thank you for your work with children in Portugal and with children. This new problem is, we in the United States call this a humanitarian crisis.
Yes.
And that is what it is, really. It's a humanitarian crisis. And unfortunately, it's not ending anytime soon, and it's going to get worse. And you have to wonder, how many children are going to be impacted. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you.
information with us. And I wish you the very best in your organization. The organization is Fundación AjudAjudar, right?
Ajudar, ajudar.
Ayudar, so which literally means foundation to help, right?
Yes,
In
yes.
Portuguese, it
Because
means
we don't want to do what another organizations are doing. We are not saying that they are doing that badly. We only want to help doing
right. No,
better.
no, I understand. I understand. No, everybody's doing their part. Everybody's
Yeah,
doing whatever they
yeah,
can do.
yes,
Catholic Charities, for example, that I'm familiar
yes,
with, that's an international organization that has a lot of resources.
yeah.
So you cannot compare what they do with other people. But I do want to thank you so much. And how long? One bit of information: how long has this foundation Ajuda been around?
Only we have only 1 year in
1 year.
September,
Okay. So
because we only were were born in the COVID pandemic.
mhm. Right, right. So, well, you have the COVID pandemic, and now you have Ukraine. So
Yes,
you have a lot of work. You have a lot of work to do. But thank you so much. My very best to you and to
thank you.
your family and to your work. And I hope we have an opportunity to do it again. Sonia Rodrigues speaking with us all the way from Portugal, up there across the Atlantic. Along. I looked at the map, and from Dallas to Lisbon, it's like, oh, I forgot how many kilometers, how many miles. So I'm going to lose track of it, but I know
Yes,
that it's 6 hours difference. So
yes.
that should tell you that it's far away. Thank
Here
you
is
and have a
night
wonderful day.
already. Yeah.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us. Sonia Rodrigues from Portugal. And thank you for listening. This is a very interesting topic and one that we will talk about more often. Thank you. And thank you very much for listening to our broadcast today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Silvio.